The GunCon, Gankon, often styled GunCon, a portmanteau of gun controller, known as the G-Con in Europe, is a family of gun peripherals designed by Namco for the PlayStation consoles. The original controllers used traditional light gun technology, while newer controllers use LED tracking technology. Background: the first GunCon NPC 103, G-Con 45 in Europe, Sony ID SLEH00007, was bundled with the PlayStation conversion of Time Crisis. A second version of the GunCon, known as the GunCon 2 NPC 106, G-Con 2 in Europe, was bundled with the PlayStation 2 conversion of Time Crisis 2 and Time Crisis 3. Time Crisis 4 came out for the PlayStation 3 bundled with the GunCon 03 NC-109, G-Con 3 in Europe. In Japan, all three GunCon models were also available for sale as a separate accessory outside of a game bundle. Prior to the GunCon, the Konami Justifier was the first light gun peripheral for the PlayStation, and a few games support it, with the exception of the North American localization of Elemental Gear Bolt and Maximum Force. Games that support the Justifier are not compatible with the GunCon and vice versa models. The GunCon controller, known as G-Con 45 in Europe, uses a cathode ray timing method to determine where the barrel is aimed at on the screen when the trigger is pulled. It features a button below the barrel on either side of the gun. Buttons A and B, both performing the same function. For auxiliary in-game control, such as to take cover and reload in Time Crisis, the controller is released in black in Japan, and gray, and eventually, in orange, in both Europe and North America. The controller is compatible with some PlayStation 2 GunCon titles, but is not compatible with PlayStation 3 due to its lack of controller ports. Many games that support it allow the A and B buttons to be swapped, making it comfortable for both right and left-handed players. GunCon 2, G-Con 2 in Europe, features a smaller body, as well as a more rounded shape when compared with the original GunCon. The side buttons, A and B, have been moved rearward to a position directly above the trigger. Two new smaller buttons, Select and Start, have been added to the left side of the shaft. Prominent additions to this second GunCon model is a D-pad at the back of the gun barrel and AC button added at the bottom of the gun handle. These new buttons serve to open new gameplay opportunities, such as character movement in Dino Stalker or the ability to use two guns at once in Time Crisis 2. Unlike the previous controller, the gun uses a USB connection as opposed to a PlayStation controller port. The controller is released in black in Japan, blue in Europe, and orange in North America. It is not compatible with original PlayStation titles or PlayStation 3 titles. The GunCon 3 utilizes two infrared LEDs as markers, placed on the left and right sides of the screen. An image sensor in the muzzle tracks the markers as reference points for determining where the gun is pointing on the screen, as opposed to the GunCon and GunCon 2, which are only compatible with court-based displays. The GunCon 3 supports a wide variety of display types, including LCD and plasma. The GunCon 3 features a subgrip mounted underneath the barrel and extending to the left side for use with the left hand. On the subgrip is an analog stick and two shoulder buttons, like in a modern gamepad. At the back end of the gun barrel is another analog stick and two buttons, B1 and B2. Underneath, another two buttons, C1 and C2, are placed along the left side of the barrel. The analog sticks allow the player to play first-person shooting games with manual aiming, firing of the light gun. In regards to appearance, all Japanese GunCon 3 controllers feature a black coloring, though due to US toy gun laws, The US PAL release of the GunCon 3 controllers are molded of bright orange plastic. This controller has been criticized for being uncomfortable for left-handed gamers. Compatibility. A free GunCon app for iOS was released on July 21, 2011, which allows players to use an iPhone or iPod Touch as a light gun while playing certain iPad games. Games supporting the GunCon. This section talks about various PlayStation games compatible with one or more versions of Namco's GunCon controller. See the complete list of light gun games on the PlayStation 2 for a complete list of light gun games. GunCon compatible games equals PS1 games equals Elemental Gearbolt, Extreme Ghostbusters, Die Hard Trilogy 2, Viva Las Vegas, Ghoul Panic, Gunfighter, The Legend of Jesse James, Judge Dredd, Maximum Force, Mighty Hits Special, Morhoon Series, Point Blank Series, Rescue Shot, Resident Evil Survivor, Japan and PAL only, Time Crisis, Project Titan, equals PS2 games equals Crisis Zone, Europe only, Endgame, Death Crimson Ox, Time Crisis 2, Time Crisis 3, Europe only, Vampire Knight, GunCon 2 compatible games. Some GunCon 2, PS2 games are compatible with the original GunCon, unless the game utilizes the extra buttons on the GunCon 2. Crisis Zone, GunCon 2, EU, aka Death Crimson Ox, JP, Dino Stalker, US, aka Gun Survivor 3, Dino Crisis, JP, Endgame, US, EU, Gunfighter 2, Revenge of Jesse James, EU, Gunberry Collection plus Time Crisis, JP, Ninja Assault, JP, EU, Resident Evil, Dead Aim, US, aka Gun Survivor 4 Biohazard Heroes Never Die, JP, Resident Evil Survivor 2 Code, Veronica, EU, JP, Starsky and Hutch, Coupe Mode Only, Time Crisis 2, Time Crisis 3, Vampire Knight, EU, JP, US, Virtua Cop, Elite Edition, GunCon 3 compatible games, Time Crisis 4, Time Crisis, Raising Storm, Dead Storm Pirates. See also, List of light gun games.